inside the playoffs to look at what could be John Elway's final chance at a Super Bowl ring. Joining us are Broncos defensive end Neil Smith and Packers running back Dorsey Levens. And we feature 49ers tight end Brent Jones trying to end his career with another Super Bowl. And now, the show the pros watch, Inside the NFL, with your hosts, Len Dawson, Nick Bonaconti, Chris Collinsworth, and Jerry Glanville.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's show. Gentlemen, the NFC Divisional playoff games last week provided no surprises. Green Bay and San Francisco won, but they both played at home. The AFC is a different situation for the fourth year in a row. The team that had home field throughout the playoffs got beat last week. It was Kansas City. Speaking of Kansas City, didn't you say that Elvis Grbac should not be starting? I thought he played pretty well.
Don't pick on me. I had about as much faith.
Guy.
Wait a minute now. I had about as much faith as that Kansas City coaching staff did in the first half of that game. I mean, the Broncos came out and absolutely dared Grbac to throw the football. Steve Atwater, their safety, looked like a defensive lineman up there on the line of scrimmage, and it was the conservative nature of your Kansas City Chiefs again not allowing Grbac to throw the football that got him beat.
But don't worry about that conservatism, because the Chiefs, their offensive coordinator, Paul Hackett, he left. He's now the head coach at Southern Cal. Now maybe they'll open up that offense.
Jerry, I don't agree with that one bit. The market of the conservative is their head coach, Marty Schottenheimer. I said last week, no one will think of Marty as a great coach until he at least gets to the Super Bowl. But if you look at the mismanagement of the clock in the last 2 minutes of the game, it was the coaches who cost the team the game, not the players.
I'm going to tell you how the Kansas City Chiefs fans feel. They are sick and tired of losing playoff games, especially at Arrowhead Stadium. But let's talk about the winning coaches. You know, 3 of the 4 coaches still remaining have San Francisco ties. That would be Shanahan, Mariucci, and Holmgren.
Yeah, and when you pick the coach of the year, Lenny, you don't have to go too far from Green Bay. When we did our show up there, the Green Bay Packers were not playing very well. We said, wow, are they a Super Bowl team? Mike Holmgren looked at me, laughed a little bit. He said, in the playoffs, don't worry, Green Bay will be there.
Well, I'll tell you, we're not surprised that Green Bay is there, but how about the San Francisco 49ers and their young coach, Steve Mariucci? Have you changed your mind about him because you said they made a mistake hiring him?
What is this, like true confessions?
Yes.
For me, but from now on, I am going to do just like that great philosopher Bill Cowher, that if, on those rare occasions when I make a mistake, I'm going to go ahead and admit it. And if he beats the Green Bay Packers, I'm going to have Jerry admit that somebody made a mistake here.
Hey, we're giving credit to the San Francisco 49ers scheme. I can't do that. I look at who the quarterbacks are. They got the 3 best quarterbacks in football. You got Young, you got Favre, and you got John Elway. I'm not so sure it doesn't matter what offense you're running. That's the 3 best quarterbacks in football.
That tells me that Bill Cowher is the best coach in the National Football League because he took a wide receiver from last year, Cordell Stewart, made him his starting quarterback, and they are now in the championship game. We mentioned that 3 of the coaches remaining come from the San Francisco and Bill Walsh system, and that doesn't even include former 49ers assistant Dennis Green. Green's Vikings were eliminated in, where else? San Francisco.
The sky above 3Com Park was postcard peaceful, and the pregame puddles were more placid than the pregame huddles.
Our whole motto just gonna be 3 words. Shock the world. All right? Shock the world on 3. 1, 2, 3. Shock the world. All day, baby, all day. Let's go now. Be greedy. You want it all, baby. You want it all.
Steve Young and the 49ers would assert themselves early in the first quarter after Minnesota punter Mitch Berger suggested that the Vikings were alive but barely kicking.
There's the kick, and oh my, he really shanked it. It goes out of bounds at about the 28-yard line. What a break for San Francisco.
Well, that's one of the worst kicks you'll ever see.
While Brent Jones flipped at the opportunity to get the 49ers near the end zone, there was confusion about the appropriate play call.
Big backs. And one, throw. Why? You big backs. Why? Why? You big back. You big back.
Why?
Floyd dives to the goal line. He's there. Should be a touchdown. Yes, for San Francisco. San Francisco scores, helped enormously by Berger's bad punt.
But the Vikings mounted an immediate response when Chris Carter got wide open for a 66-yard touchdown pass.
Fake jam rolling right. Now looks for a throwback perhaps. Coxon fires it downfield. There's a man there. It's Carter at the 20, at the 15, at the 10, at the 5. Touchdown, Vikings.
Steve Young retaliated by clicking with his young receivers J.J. Stokes and number 81, Terrell Owens, who showed soft hands and a hard shell. After a Terry Kirby touchdown gave San Francisco the lead for good, the 49ers defense asserted itself.
Off to Kirby. Big hole, left guard, touchdown, 49ers. Cunningham rolling to his right, throws will be hit. Norton, interception down the left side. Nobody stops this play. Touchdown, 49ers.
Blitz by Tim McDonald made Randall Cunningham throw it right to Norton.
Either Cunningham didn't see Norton or couldn't get the ball on target. Threw it right to Norton. He had a walk-in touchdown, and you cannot win ball games against the 49ers giving him the easy takeaway touchdown, and they led the league in that this year.
Wow, what a break for San Francisco, and what a read by Kenny, who was in perfect position. 23 yards.
All too often, Randall Cunningham was forced to throw into tight coverage, and the result was just 18 completions and 40 passing attempts. Hampered by an ineffective running game, Cunningham was left with few viable options. Although he faced deficits of 17 and 24 points, Cunningham never quit, and he finished the day with 331 aerial yards and 3 touchdown passes, 2 of them in the second half.
And looking right, Cunningham fires. Low grab made. Matthew Hatchett. Oh, touchdown, Vikings, reaching out an arm like Inspector Gadget. Got it across the
But in
goal.
this game, the hometown team dominated.
We could run 68 handoff, possible over, right? That type of stuff, okay?
Minnesota only rarely put a rip in Steve Mariucci's game plan. But the 49ers' balance tipped the scales in their favor. With number 40 William Floyd leading the way, Terry Kirby was able to rush for a career-high 120 yards. Kirby's running and a mistake-free passing performance from Steve Young enabled San Francisco to return to the NFC title game for the first time since 1994.
To the end zone, it is caught. Owens catches the ball, takes a long step in, touchdown 49ers. One giant step for Terrell Owens, 1 touchdown for San Francisco. He caught the ball at the 1, wasn't there, turned around and literally just stretched his leg out as far as he could.
The 49ers quarterback unveiled the Brigham Young Boogie. Well, even if Young isn't Soul Train material, his moves in the pass pocket were perfectly choreographed. J.J. Stokes' 9 receptions for 101 yards helped Young direct 4 touchdown drives, the final one coming midway through the 4th quarter.
Kirby slipped, still got into the end zone after taking the handoff over left guard. Touchdown for the 49ers.
Nice job, Terry Kirby. William, great job. Great job. JJ, nice guy. Hey, way to get up that side.
Their end zone celebrations demonstrated that the 49ers are full of fight, flash, and funk. Well, maybe not funk, but they seemed relaxed and ready for their next postseason challenge.
Hey, feel good?
How you doing? Yeah, it's good.
Next week, Tampa Bay, Green Bay.
Whoever. You win. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Steve Mariucci's first championship game will be the 49ers' 10th since 1981 and their 5th of this decade.
One common thread for the 49ers in this decade is their veteran tight end, Brent Jones. He's nearing the end of his career and trying to capture one more Super Bowl title. Brian Burwell has the story.
I'd always thought that I was going to be the guy they're going to have to take me out of here dragging, kicking, and screaming.
Alone, Brent Jones, touchdown, 49ers, left corner of the end zone.
The last couple of years, I'd started thinking, you know, it'd be nice to go out on your own terms when you're still at the top of your game and you still can do it.
There's a loop in the air after a fierce hit, hangs onto the ball.
Let's face it, very few football players have the ability to dictate the end of their playing careers. But Brent Jones insists that things are going to be a little bit different for him. He is looking for a storybook ending to a 12-year career that can already be described as some kind of football fantasy. How is this for every kid's childhood dream? Local kid from San Jose who didn't even start his senior year of high school somehow gets a football scholarship to tiny Santa Clara, gets drafted in the 5th round by the Steelers in '86, gets injured and cut as a rookie, then signed by his hometown 49ers and becomes a 4-time Pro Bowl tight end? Nah, couldn't happen.
He's the kind of guy that scratched and clawed his way to greatness, really. And you scratch and claw, you get used to that's how you perform, that's your MO. Here's a kid that literally, before he went to sleep every night, would catch the ball, toss it up and down to himself 1,000 times before he'd go to bed. I wasn't going to let anybody squash my dream, and it came close to being squashed so many different times. But I just kept chipping away and never gave up and always worked hard.
But Jones and his team never had to work harder than this year. Brent missed 3 games due to a hairline fracture of his leg and disappeared from the offense. New coach on the hot seat. Injuries to Jerry Rice, Young, and Garrison Hurst. Legal problems for owner Eddie DeBartolo, yet finished with the best record in the NFL.
It started so strange with those injuries and the things that progressed through the weeks. And we had to come together early on. And that adversity built tremendous team unity, and we've just kept it rolling. There's some sparse moments in there, and I think that we'd never had that kind of drought in throwing the football. And there were some times there where we didn't catch a ball, and like we didn't know how to explain that, you know. But the last month, suddenly it's turned to where it's normal again, you know, and that feels good.
And last month seemed like the perfect time for Brent Jones to announce the ending of his storybook tale.
It's been an opportunity to live a dream.
I really think I have embraced it and I could handle it, but it was tough, actually going through with it. And nervous, a little scared. You just don't know what's out there.
What is looming for Jones is that this NFC Championship game against Green Bay will be his final home game as a 49er.
Every week that goes by, you find him taking a longer and longer look, a longer stare into the crowd. So trying to sit him out with a great retirement present, that's getting to the Super Bowl and winning it.
Now, there's going to always be a part of you, I think, that's left on the field, that's left in the locker room. You just don't want to get so emotional. I think I'm trying to guard against that because just when you talk about it, I can feel my heart starting to pound, think, boy, that's something I'm going to really have to deal with.
With politics or a broadcasting career in his future, Brent's dream season is near completion. All it needs now is the perfect ending.
The ultimate dream of any player is to walk off the field at the Super Bowl. Being a Super Bowl champion, for me, that'd be the 4th time. That would be the ultimate. He'd catch the winning touchdown with about 3 seconds left in the clock, and he would take a hellacious hit, and he'd be half groggy, hold on the ball, would be resting on his chest on the end zone, and I'd come up to him, and we'd want to, "You all right?" And he'd be like, yeah, kinda, you know? That's Brent, you know, just clutching that ball. No one takes better care of the football.
So don't wake him up now. Let him hold tight to the ball in that perfect football fantasy. It might just get the kid who couldn't even start in high school one more trip to the Super Bowl.
Brent Jones' story should be an inspiration to every young football player, and that is, don't you ever give up. But, Nick, what about the 49ers next year without him?
Well, they're certainly not going to give up, Lenny, but there's a great analogy here. I think if you look at the Dallas Cowboys, when they lost Jay Novacek to retirement, that offense never recovered. Brent Jones in San Francisco, without him, there'll be a real void.
Brent Jones wants another Super Bowl ring. In order to get that, they must defeat the Green Bay Packers. And Green Bay advanced to the championship game, but Tony Dungy and his young chatty defense gave the Pack all they could handle.
Come get some. Come get some.
Tampa was hoping the third time was the charm against the Packers.
Let's go. Let's go.
Kick they tail.
All right, Nardo.
Let's go.
Let's
Let's
go.
go.
Get behind.
1, 2, 3.
Green Bay's goal on defense was to stuff Tampa Bay's Pro Bowl backfield. The Bucs once again seemed to freeze up on the tundra, while the cool Packer offense was beginning to heat up.
Let's go blue right, tight close, F left.
Green Bay's first touchdown was a typical Brett Favre improvisation.
By Brett. Brett on his feet fires to the end zone. Touchdown. Chavara in the end zone.
Tampa Bay's 3 trips into field goal range yielded 0 points.
A high snap. Goodness. The ball is loose. Diving on it is Michael Houston.
The Packers were unrelenting in trying to pressure Trent Dilfer.
Jet 3 Detroit Arrow X in. Jet 3 Detroit Arrow X in.
Pressure coming. Flushed onto the pocket. Dilfer. Oh, he's sacked and clobbered at the 10-yard line. Sacked and clobbered at the 10 by Leroy Butler.
The pressure paid off as the Buccaneer offense seemed out of sync.
Just what Tampa Bay didn't want to happen has happened, and of course the Packers.
Dilfer was not the only quarterback under fire. Brett Favre was constantly under attack by Warren Sapp.
And Sapp again does his thing. Warren Sapp is having a Pro Bowl kind of game. Warren Sapp said, "Hey kid, you're not running over my belly button," and he knocked him in the air, and the ball came squirting out. Boy, Warren Sapp is putting on some kind of show in their second-round playoff game.
Sapp recorded 3 sacks and forced 2 fumbles, and more importantly, got inside Favre's head as the physical battle turned into a war of words. As Favre started to make mistakes, the momentum started to shift.
The 6-yard line. Fire threw it the wrong way.
Listen, guys, right now. Lock in right now to every little thing we do has got to be sharp. Right now, we've got to get it done, all right?
In the third quarter, Tampa Bay put together an 8-play, 94-yard drive.
Going to the deep post. Downfield. Caught Anthony to the 40, to the 45, to the 50. Anthony is knocked down to the Green Bay Packer 42-yard line.
Woo! What's that, Bucks? Look at him back on their heels. Look at him back on their heels.
Off to Wallstad. Tries to run this week with the left. Low 2-1. Touchdown. Tampa Bay.
But that's a great run by Allstott, number 1, because with his power, with his strength, they anticipate the Packers do him going inside, but shows the great balance by bouncing it outside and taking it in standing up.
Oh, let's go. Good job, Mike.
Hey, let's go get this damn ball back.
The Buccaneers couldn't get the ball back thanks to Dorsey Levens, whose 141 total yards moved the chains and ate up the clock in the fourth quarter. Derek Mays showed great hands, legs, and ankles to put the Packers deep in Buccaneer territory.
Oh, what a play. Caught Derek Mays. What happened was he caught the ball, it came loose, but it stayed up on his leg, and he pulled it in before it rolled to the ground.
Come on, Dorsey!
Here's the play, and the handoff goes to Levens. Touchdown. Slides into the end zone. And a
Big play.
Brett Favre's two-point conversion put the game away.
Here's Brett Favre up underneath. Brett Favre on a quarterback draw scores the 2. Quarterback draw, perfectly done. And the Packers get the 2 and take a 21-7 lead. It is a win for the Packers and a third straight visit to the NFC Championship game.
And I don't care where we played. Right. I really didn't care where we played this game. Well, you're there, and you deserve to be there. You beat a very fine football team today. I promise you I will stay calm this week. All right? Even though we're playing, we're going back to my hometown. All those people are there. I promise you I'm going to stay calm. All right, man. Congratulations. Really, you deserve it. I'm proud of you. The coaches did a marvelous job. Hey, we're there again. Now, listen. One game at a time.
Coming up on HBO's Inside the NFL, the Broncos' Neil Smith joins us to talk about Sunday's big game with the Steelers and highlights of Denver knocking Marty Schottenheimer and the Chiefs out of the playoffs.
We'll talk about that AFC Championship game a little bit later, but right now let's bring on the star running back of the Green Bay Packers, Dorsey Levens, who was just outstanding against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. Dorsey, it seems that every year when the playoffs get rolling, you get hot. Got any explanation for that?
I just get excited. You know, the big games, cameras, national audience. I just want to go out there and perform up to my best. You know, I think the biggest thing, I just don't want to let my teammates down and be one of the guys that step up when the game is on the line.
Dorsey, when you were at Notre Dame, you were 7th string, and the coach calls you in, tells you have no chance of moving up the ladder. Did you ever think your career was over with football?
I definitely thought it was over. You know, when I transferred to Georgia Tech, I thought I was going to go there, get a great education, and make my home in Atlanta and get a good job. You know, I thought I'd give football a shot, but I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, never to the level I made it to right now.
Dorsey, the people that do not live in Green Bay probably don't know about your big fullback, William Henderson. Tell us what his strengths are.
He has one strength that is just go in there and overwhelm linebackers. He's been doing a great job all year. You know, my biggest thing is just follow him. I told him beginning of the year I was going to be like his shadow. I'm going to go everywhere he goes, and he's been doing a great job of just moving linebackers out of the hole for me.
Last week you struggled running outside, but you're able to pound that ball in between the tackles. You going to take the same approach this week?
I think we have to. You know, they have a lot of team speed on defense, and running outside is not going to be too effective. I think maybe if we run inside and maybe bounce outside occasionally, that may work. But for the most part, we have to run directly at those guys to try to keep them off balance a little bit.
Dorsey, I think almost all the Green Bay Packers, at least on the offensive side, agree that that was a pretty sloppy game for this offense a week ago. Why do you think that happened?
To be honest with you, we didn't practice really well last week. You know, we did the same thing in practice as we did in the game. We dropped a lot of balls. There are a lot of missed assignments. So our focus this week is to try to have a better week of practice and preparation than we did last week, and hopefully it'll show in the game.
The last time you were a free agent, you got up and moved to Georgia Tech. What do you have planned after this season when you're a free agent?
Hopefully I can stay here. You know, this is where my heart is. I like the offense. I like the coaching staff, my teammates. I really want to stay with the winning program, so hopefully we can get a deal worked out where I can stay here for the rest of my career.
Well, you know, a lot of people think that you might be playing for the Dallas Cowboys next year. Have you thought about that one?
You know, I heard that rumor a couple of days ago, but that was the first time I heard it. I don't know where that's coming from, but who knows?
I want you to tell me about your experience on the Oprah Winfrey Show. You went on there, I guess, because you were looking for a date or something like that, and you got flooded with mail from girls all over the country. How's that been going?
You know, it's really died down a lot. You know, all the letters and stuff have pretty much stopped. But the only bad thing is that the rerun is coming on today. So it might just start all over again. But, I mean, we had a good time. It was fun. You know, I got a chance to meet Oprah and hang out with some good friends of mine.
Well, I would imagine you probably have some friends that are willing to take on some of those letters. But we appreciate you taking some time to be with us, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
This is a game football fans are waiting for. You've got Green Bay at San Francisco. You got Holmgren versus Mariucci for the right to go to Super Bowl 32. And Chris, both teams can light up that scoreboard.
Yeah, and Steve Young was sensational a week ago. But I was really surprised at the way the Minnesota Vikings tried to defend J.J. Stokes and Terrell Owens. They played off about 10 yards. That's not going to happen this week against the Green Bay Packers. Tyrone Williams and Doug Evans are going to be right up in those wide receivers' face. They're not going to get the same kind of free release. And I don't think they'll have the same kind of success this week.
I'll tell you one thing, though, Chris. This is a nightmare for defensive coaches. You got Green Bay's Fritz Shermer. You got San Francisco's John Marshall. They look at reels of film. They put together what they think is the perfect defense. There's only one problem. You've got Brett Favre and you got a guy named Steve Young. They're improvisers. They make their biggest plays out of the pocket, and there is no defense for that.
But one thing they better defend. What I liked last week, I watched the right tackle for the Green Bay Packers. Earl Dotson played the best game of the season, and he's the reason Dorsey Levens could run that power running game up inside, and look for him to do it again this week.
I don't look for either team to have success running with the football, and I'll tell you why. Garrison Hurst is going to play, but he is not 100%. Dorsey Levens has had a wonderful year so far, but I do not see him penetrating that iron triangle of the 49ers of Stubblefield, Young, and Plummer.
I agree with you, Len. It's going to be very, very tough to run up inside, but Green Bay has the receivers. They got Antonio Freeman, they got Mark Shimura, and of course they got Robert Brooks. Now the big matchup here, I think, is Mark Shimura against strong safety Tim McDonald. I think the receivers from Green Bay come up real big here, and the Pack wins.
No. I don't agree with that, because I think the receivers for the 49ers have a size advantage over the cornerbacks. They'll be able to utilize that. And also, you've got a guy named Steve Young. He's the highest rated quarterback in the history of the National Football League. Why? Because he's very accurate and he makes very few mistakes. I like San Francisco.
Well, let me tell you why you're wrong. Anytime you take on the Green Bay Packers, it means you have to stop Brett Favre and those outstanding wide receivers. You had better be healthy in your secondary. And right now, the San Francisco 49ers simply are not. Merton Hanks banged up his knee a little bit last week. Rod Woodson with the bad calf. Both of those guys should play in the game. But if they're not 100%, look for Green Bay to win.
Well, I'm taking Green Bay, too, because of the difference in the quarterbacks. You talked about Steve Young. I know Steve Young. He'll play not to make a mistake, don't throw an interception. I know Brett Favre. He'll play to have fun. The first time I ever put him in a playoff game against the Redskins, his first pass he threw, the Redskins ran back for a touchdown. He sprints to me and says, Coach, my first pass in the playoffs, it's a touchdown. I says, Favre, it's for the wrong team. He says, in 5 years, nobody remember. That's the kind of guy he takes to get to the Super Bowl.
5 years later, he now knows the right color to throw to. I'll tell you, the Packers and the 49ers have become a terrific rivalry, but it would be hard-pressed to match the intensity found at Arrowhead Stadium last week.
The crystalline palace that was Arrowhead Stadium Sunday formed a glacial setting for the first playoff game ever between two long-time and bitter rivals.
It's the day, baby. 2 weeks off, 2 weeks worth of preparation, just to kick a little butt today.
With a perfect home record, KC was counting on an edge from their frenzied fans against an unshakable nemesis.
Got your message about the crowd noise. He's the one kid that the crowd is never going to shake.
No.
This 75th meeting matched the Kansas City Chiefs, co-owners of the best record in the NFL, against the wild card, the sky-high Denver Broncos.
Strength, the men in this circle, one play at a time, one heartbeat, and one victory. Let's go!
The Chiefs' game plan was to feature the ground game against the 29th ranked run defense. It was a strategy that failed. The visitors were led by number 90, former Chief Neil Smith, who was bent on revenge. Smith had been deemed expendable after 9 seasons in Kansas City. On the other hand, his former pass-rushing partner, All-Pro Derek Thomas, was a complete non-factor throughout the game. After a scoreless first quarter, the Chiefs appeared to draw first blood on a Pete Stoyanovich field goal, but the kicking team was flagged for holding.
Oh, he's holding! He's holding! Yeah! He held him!
The points were taken off the board, and Stojanovich's subsequent kick from 10 yards further out barely missed. The subtracted points would come back to haunt the Chiefs. On the very next series, John Elway caught fire, pitching a pair of passes to wide-open targets for huge yardage. Rod Smith's sideline journey led to the first touchdown of the game.
And Terrell Davis left side crashes into the end zone. Touchdown, Denver.
Terrell Davis's score was the first rushing touchdown allowed by the Chiefs in 42 quarters. On the first snap of the second half, Elvis Gerbach shrugged off the yoke of conservatism with a rare downfield pass. Andre Rison's superhero had brought the ball deep into Denver territory.
Back to throw Gerbach. Fake pattern. Near side. Gonzalez reaches up. And it is caught out of bounds by Tony Gonzalez. Darian Gordon was covering for Denver. A late call, incomplete forward pass on a fade pattern to Tony Gonzalez.
Whoa. Now, he hit his upper body out first.
After the rookie's close call, Kansas City cashed in on 3 points, but another excellent opportunity had been squandered by the offense. Late in period 3, they redeemed themselves.
Gerbach's throwing it long. He wants Joe Horn deep. Joe Horn over the shoulder catch all the way down to the Denver 14-yard line. Burning Tyrone Braxton, one of the fastest Kansas City Chiefs. Joe Horn on a 55-yard pass play. Kansas City's in business.
Here, Elvis Gerbach's agility resulted in the Chiefs' only touchdown.
Gerbach wanting to throw the football. In trouble, wheeling around, turning right, holding the ball in the right hand. Still holds it. Now fires it late in the zone. Touchdown! Kansas City! Touchdown! Tony Gonzalez! 12-yard pass play. Kansas City takes the lead.
But just as the game heated up, Kansas City's heralded defense let down. Only minutes after losing the lead, John Elway got it back on the killer play of the day. A crossing pattern to wide open and lonely Ed McCaffrey.
Wide open McCaffrey. Eddie back inside the 10, inside the 5, to the pylon. Is he in? No, he's waved out of bounds.
From the 1, the Chiefs and their coach implored their fans for vocal rescue. But it was all in vain.
Davis right side trail, squares his shoulders, into the end zone, touchdown Denver.
Now behind by 4, Kansas City took a surprisingly uncharacteristic gamble, passing up a field goal try in a futile attempt to gain a first down.
Aguiar rolling right. Broncos is going to have it. He's short. He's short. Bronco defense holds.
Big play. And oh, Marty, I thought you were conservative.
With their blown chances looming larger every minute, the Chiefs began one final drive for the touchdown that could win the game. Their most important sequence of the season started well, but ended in disaster. Elvis Gerbach drove his team downfield with 7 successful passes. The final minute of a game usually belongs to the quarterback, but poor clock management had left the Chiefs with no timeouts. This, combined with the uproar from their own fans, created the confusion that Gerbach never solved.
Clock is running. 27, 26, 25. Gerbach, this is 4th and 2.5. This is the game. Slant! Straight drop back. Gerbach, plenty of time, into the end zone. Pass is going to be knocked away. Incomplete. Incomplete. The Bronco defense holds.
We'd be a heck of a football team, but this is not our goal. Man, this is not our goal. This is a step. You enjoy it. We got one thing on our mind, and what's that? Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay.
What a wild time for the wild card Broncos. First, they avenged last season's playoff defeat to Jacksonville. Then they became the first road team to win in Kansas City this year. But they still have unfinished business to take care of. We go inside the playoffs to check the emotional pulse of the Broncos.
Last week's divisional playoff was an emotional, intense thriller, even for 15-year veteran quarterback John Elway.
It's always tough standing and watching, but you just hope and pray that someone comes through and make a play, and the defense did that.
Denver's defense did take the burden off Elway, but despite the big win, his teammates know the 37-year-old Super Bowl opportunities are limited.
You look at the moves that this team made in the offseason, they were for John Elway. They want to get John Elway a Super Bowl ring before he's through, and they know that he has a year left, maybe 2, but not much time.
We have a lot of veterans on this team where this could be their last, chance. So, especially for John, I think it would be nice to get John a championship before he leaves the game, and we understand the urgency.
Last week, that sense of urgency was even more intense for former Chief Keith Traylor, who had to play against his ex-teammates just 2 days after losing his mother.
I had quite a bit of motivation over the weekend. I lost my mom, and I had flew down the night before the game and flew back, and I saw my family, and they all were pushing me and telling me go ahead, and that's what Mom would want me to go down there and and handle my business.
We knew what kind of week he was having, and we decided to pick it up and on everybody else dig a little deeper and do something that alleviate Keith's loss.
Traylor had been forced out of the game with an injured ankle early in the fourth quarter, but with the Broncos season on the line, he returned during the Chiefs' final drive, drawing inspiration from his mom.
I think it was the strength from her, yes. It was, let's go, Traylor, let's go. We got to get out there. We got to make something happen.
One guy that's going through some adversity here in the last 2 days is who's getting a game ball, and his mom's up there looking at him. He played one heck of a football game. Keith Traylor.
There's not one football that's ever meant more to Keith Traylor than that one that Mike Shanahan tossed to him after telling the team that we had a man with a heavy heart that went out there and played the best game of his life.
Tears dropped, and you can't really describe that feeling. It's one of those things. It's like, and that's for not only myself, but my family and my mom.
Keith Traylor reminds us all just how human this game is, putting everything else in perspective. No question, Keith Traylor was the inspiration for the Broncos a week ago. And now for more information on the matchup between the Broncos and the Steelers, let's go to Denver and our own Gary Myers. And Gary, I want to get right to the main story this week. Is John Elway going to retire after this season?
Well, Chris, I had a long talk with John about it, and he insists he's not thinking about the '98 season right now. He's enjoying the moment too much of being back in the AFC Championship game. Now, people close to Elway are saying they really believe that John will give Mike Shanahan a year's notice on when he's going to retire, and that he will be back in '98. The only thing that could change that is if the Broncos do win the Super Bowl this year. One thing that is certain: finances will not be a consideration in John's decision. A business associate of Elway told me that he is worth close to $100 million, and Elway confirmed that.
Well, the clock is ticking, though, for John Elway in his football career, which has to create a sense of urgency for this team.
No question about that, Chris. That's really the feeling you get walking around the Broncos locker room. 25% of this team is 30 years of age or older, and they really believe, Shannon Sharpe is saying, this team was built to win now, not 3 or 4 years from now. Too many high-priced free agents were brought in to worry about the future, and that this team was put together to win the Super Bowl this year.
Gary, how about Terrell Davis? Are his ribs okay?
Well, he says they're okay, and the question now is whether he will be wearing a flak jacket Sunday in Pittsburgh. One thing is for sure, he won't be wearing the heavy flak jacket that he wore in Kansas City. He said he didn't feel like he can feel the ball, and that led to 2 fumbles. In practice this week, he's been wearing a thinner flak jacket, and if he wears one on Sunday, he will be wearing the thin one, not the one that he wore in Kansas City.
One of my favorite things about playoff football is that the bulletin boards tend to get filled up for the respective teams with all the nasty things that the other team is saying about you. What's happening between these two teams on the bulletin board?
Chris, there's been a lot of stuff this week. Alfred Williams of the Broncos was complaining about Bill Cowher running on the field in their last game to celebrate touchdowns with the Steelers. The Steelers are complaining about some comments that Mike Shanahan made after that last game, pointing to 11 drop passes for the reason they lost the game, and not giving credit to the Steelers' defense. Now, one other thing that the Steelers are complaining about this week is this T-shirt that's being sold in Denver that has the Super Bowl logo on it. They feel it's a little presumptuous. Jerome Bennis is saying it's a slap at them. It's not showing them any bit of respect.
Now, one thing I know is that those T-shirt manufacturers, they like to jump the gun a little bit. Anything else?
Well, the Steelers know about the first shirt that's being sold in Denver. They don't know about this one that's already proclaiming the Broncos the AFC champions. One thing I do want to point out, Chris, in the store right next to the Broncos office, which the team owns, these shirts are not being sold.
All right, Gary, we'll stick around, look for some other T-shirts. We'll get back to you in just a minute.
I'm bringing them back for you, Chris.
All right. Well, a lot of times a score of 7-6 in a football game indicates inept offenses and boring football. But that wasn't the case in Pittsburgh last weekend. Let's look at one very exciting defensive struggle.
Last Saturday in Pittsburgh, two teams were out to avenge past defeats. The Steelers were looking to make up for last year's divisional playoff loss in New England, while the Patriots were hoping to wipe away memories of the game they gave away to the Steelers just 3 weeks earlier.
We got something for these boys. And don't spell relief, baby. Don't wait around. Steelers think 60 minutes of football. Our style, our way, in our house, man. Let's go.
The first break came just 3 plays into the game.
And he throws the long takeoff pattern down the right sideline. It's intercepted. Chad Scott has it at the 10-yard line. An underthrown ball by Drew Bledsoe. How do you like this now, Drew? How do you like this now?
On the ensuing drive, the Patriots' defense gave up its only big play of the day.
Come on, Cordell! 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 Play action fake. Cordell sprinting to the left. On the run. He gets to the 35, the 30. He's up the left sideline. 20, 15, 10. And he is going to score that Steeler touchdown from 40 yards out. Cordell Stewart walking the chalk line left sideline near the Steeler bench. He got over a tackler as he turned the corner, and he just turned on the Jets.
Cordell Stewart's 40-yard score was the longest touchdown run in Steelers playoff history and was a combination of great athleticism and execution. Guard Brendan Stye helped open the initial hole. And when tight end Mark Bruner blocked Jimmy Hitchcock clear off the field, it allowed Stewart to continue to the outside rather than cut in.
Yeah, we saw the Patriots kind of like let up a little bit, feeling like he was forced out of bounds.
Well, they did not react the way a championship defense should have reacted.
The New England defense made sure Stewart's score was the last big play it would give up, as Willie McGinnis and the Patriots kept the elusive quarterback in check the rest of the afternoon. New England also limited Pittsburgh's primary weapon, Jerome Bettis, to just 67 yards on 25 carries, as the Patriots denied any further Steelers scoring chances.
Throw, he looks, fires right, it is intercepted, picked off by Steve Israel at the 20-yard line. Great play by Steve Israel, stretched himself out from left to right. Hey,
that's defense! That was starting to play our game, baby!
But Pittsburgh's blitzing defense came up just as big. And this became the lowest scoring AFC playoff game ever.
Nolan Harrison comes into the backfield and forces the fumble, and Jason Gilden pounces on it. That's what I'm talking about!
With his running game non-existent, Drew Bledsoe put the ball up 44 times as he tried to exploit the weak spots in Pittsburgh's coverage. A pair of long completions to Terry Glenn helped set up 2 field goals as the Patriots cut the deficit to 7-6 in the fourth quarter. Midway through the final period, the Steelers finally made another serious run at the end zone. And with 3.5 minutes left, Bettis' near score set up the game's biggest decision.
Here comes the bus rolling down to the 1, and he's just short of the goal line. It's 4th down and goal, and decision time for the Steelers.
I think Bill Cowher's going to go for it. You got 3/4 of a yard to go, or make it 2/3 of a yard.
How about half the length of the football? And it's heartthrob time. Is your heart pounding in your chest?
4th and goal at the 1. Stewart calling signals, quarterback sneak. He is slammed, hit, and dropped back at the 3-yard line. Patriots rushed up and met him in midair and drove him back. And the Patriots take over on downs with 3:24 to go, and the ball somewhere inside the Patriot 5-yard line.
Kudos for the Patriots defense.
And we want to advance. This is the time. Here we go. D on 3. 1, 2, 3.
The Patriots still needed only a field goal to take the lead, and with just under 2 minutes left, they seemed to be driving at will toward the go-ahead score.
In the shotgun again. Bledsoe is back. Pocket collapses. They get to him. Loose football. Steelers have it. Steelers have it.
And that was Mike Vrabel, the rookie from Ohio State, who come up from behind on Bledsoe.
me tell you something, guys. I'm saying this now, and I'll tell you that. I made a mistake in going for it on 4th down. I should have kicked the damn field goal, but you know what? I'm with you guys, win or lose. And I'm going to tell you right now, but I'm young. I make mistakes too. But I'm going to say this. We have one game. You find a way. And I'm going to tell you something. We have 2 games left.
Bill Cowher said the Steelers have to win 2 games in a row to fulfill their goal. But in order to play that second game, they must first beat the Denver Broncos. And joining us now is a man with other ideas, the outstanding defensive end for the Broncos, Neil Smith. Neil, I was at the ball game, and you got your first sack this year against the Kansas City Chiefs, and you went into your George Brett swing. What did you hear from the crowd?
Well, Leonard, you know, I feel like, you know, the baseball swing started in Kansas City, and it's like almost like a trademark for me. And the only thing I was doing is that when I got a sack, whether it was in Kansas City or here in Denver, I was going to do it regardless. I got booed. It really hurt me, but yet I can understand the frustration out of the fans, and they didn't want to see me, you know, succeed. But it was all good. I felt real good about it.
Neil, you're running off the field. You just won a playoff game, and you should be happy. But you hear some fans screaming some racial slurs at you. What happened?
Out of all due respect, you know, I love the fans of Kansas City, and it still wasn't my decision for me to actually leave Kansas City. They just went in another direction. It didn't work for me there, and you know, for them to boo me and to curse me and to do racial remarks to my restaurant there in Kansas City, I just think it was unnecessary. It's just a football game, you know, a bunch of grown men playing a kid's game and having fun doing it, and I just didn't think that it would get to that point. But yet, I think that everything is now stable and back to this perspective, and out of all due respect, I just think out of frustration, they were just mad.
Neil, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. The last time you met them in Pittsburgh, you blew a 14-point lead. That's when Thigpen really burned Darian Gordon. And now, were you concerned about the throwing ability of Cordell Stewart? Maybe you didn't have that much respect for him, or was it bad coverage?
Well, I tell you, it was both. I mean, I think that Cordell had a Cordell Stewart big day. You know, as he threw the ball very well. His receivers adjusted to him. Darren Gordon evidently thought that once he got the penalty on the first touchdown, that the play was overthrown. And yes, Thigpen played the play out and went down and scored. But I think that, you know, Cordell had a great day.
Neil, I know you're concerned about the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I want to ask you about how about next year? Where do you think you're going to be? Where would you want to be?
Well, you know, it's very funny that you asked me that. I really don't know. I haven't put it in consideration. You know, I look at it right now. I'm trying to wade through all of this. I've done a great job, and the Denver Broncos haven't had a chance to talk to me or my agent to see if they want to sign me. You know, I will be a free agent after this all over, but yet, you know, my main goal and my main objective is when I sign on here is to get to the Super Bowl and have an opportunity to win it. And once this is all over, I will sit down like I did last year and analyze it and see where I go from there.
Neil, tell me about your friend and teammate Keith Traylor and how he's doing since his mother passed away.
You know, my condolences go to Keith's family and Keith himself. You know, for what he did last week, I don't think that any man could step up and do anything that he did. I mean, Keith Traylor lost his mother right before he got to Kansas City, and he played with a heavy heart and fought through the ball game and really played well. He knew the importance of him being there. I think that he did an excellent job of just fighting through it, and now that his mom is buried, he joined us again today, and hopefully, you know, he can win this one for her.
Neil, thank you very much. Good luck against Pittsburgh.
Thanks a lot.
Neil Smith was talking about the difficult times Keith Traylor, his teammate, is going through right now. I think I understand what he is going through, because when I was a member of the Kansas City Chiefs in 1969, on our way to a Super Bowl championship, my father passed away late in the season. Keith knows the game is going to go on. He's got to focus, because this week is the biggest game of the year for he and the Broncos as they travel to Pittsburgh for the second time in a month. And Nick, the thing here is the winner gets a trip to the Super Bowl.
Going to Pittsburgh. I love that. But when you think of Pittsburgh, what do you think? If you think of defense and the running game, I think the passing game is just an afterthought. But one thing's for sure, Bill Cowher is not Marty Schottenheimer. He will not put the wraps on Cordell Stewart. When Steve Atwater, the safety, comes up and sniffs out and tries to stop Jerome Bettis on the running game, forget it. Cordell Stewart goes to play-action passes. He goes to Yancey Thigpen and Charles Johnson.
Cordell Stewart was sensational in the first matchup between these two teams. Absolutely. I got a chance to go back and watch the game film of that first matchup. And one thing that really surprised me, after the Broncos got off to the 21-7 lead, they looked intimidated the rest of the way. Even Howard Griffith, their big fullback, who usually goes in there and really hammers the ball up in there, when he had to face LaVon Kirkland, he sort of backed away a little bit. The other surprising thing was the play of Denver's wide receivers. A very confusing look by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and without Ed McCaffrey, they just weren't the same.
Well, the Steelers do the best job in the National Football League as far as disguising their coverages. And McCaffrey, he's coming back. He's the guy that can adjust the routes better than anybody, and I think they'll be a lot tougher on the Steelers secondary than they were the last time.
Well, in order to adjust to routes, I think the quarterback needs a little time to survey the defense and get the job done. John Elway is going to get that because his offensive line is doing a terrific job. An example, the first time they met the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium during the regular season, Elway was sacked 6 times. Last week, just once, and the Chiefs were using the same type of blitzing defenses they've used all year long.
And if you're going to play against the Pittsburgh Steelers, you better be able to handle the blitz out there, baby, because those boys are going to be coming, absolutely. But the reason I like the Denver Broncos in this game is since that last game against the Steelers, they have really improved on the defensive side of the ball. Greg Robinson has done a great job to turn this defense around. In the 2 playoff games, this defense has only allowed 10 points in each of the last 2 games. I'm going with Denver.
Well, Denver really looks good on the defensive side of the ball. But Terrell Davis, I said last week, he would not control the game. Boy, was I wrong.
He did.
But this week here is a little different story. Again, the zone blitz by the Pittsburgh Steelers. The adjustment by the offensive line of Denver will not be there. Sure, Davis is going to get his yards, but Pittsburgh's going to get the win.
Oh, no, because we got to relax John Elway out there. Why shouldn't it be relaxed? Terrell Davis is not going to that big flak jacket, so he doesn't have to worry about turnovers. I'm going with Denver.
Well, I'm with Nick. I'm going with the Steelers for one player, and that player is Norm Johnson. When I was in Atlanta, we wanted to win a playoff game. We marched Norm out there right down the middle. He hasn't missed a field goal inside the 30-yard line since he was at Seattle in 1989. I think he wins with a 52-yard field goal.
Well, we're split on who's going to win this football game, but I'm sure we're all in agreement it's time to bring Gary Myers back.
No. That's a 2-2 tie.
No, I didn't agree to that.
I voted for him. Let's talk to the guy.
Come on back here, Gary. I want to talk about the Raiders. Joe Bugle was fired earlier in this week. Any idea who the new coach might be?
Well, Lenny, the first to be interviewed for that job is Eagles offensive coordinator John Gruden. That's somebody that Al Davis has been interested in the past. Now, I think Jets assistant head coach Bill Belichick will also get an interview, and if he happens to be offered that job, he's going to have a very interesting decision to make because it is the Jets' intention for Belichick to succeed Bill Parcells as the Jets' head coach. Parcells, however, is committed to coaching the Jets for at least another 3 years. And also, according to reports out of Minnesota, the Raiders called the Vikings to check on the contract status of Dennis Green in '98. Now, in effect, they were really trying to find out whether the Vikings were intending to fire Dennis Green. I think what could happen there, if Roger Hedrick is able to buy the team and have controlling interest, there's a very good chance Dennis Green will wind up with a contract extension with the Vikings.
Gary, what about Barry Switzer? What's the delay in moving him upstairs for the Cowboys?
Well, Chris, the Cowboys really are in no rush, but Barry Switzer is not going to be moving upstairs. You know, according to things I'm hearing around the league, that once he gets fired, he's no longer going to be a member of the Cowboys organization. The Cowboys right now don't consider time of the essence in picking a new head coach.
How about George Young, now that he is moving on from general manager of the Giants to the NFL front office? How will that affect this Giants organization?
Well, Chris, the new general manager, Ernie Accorsi, believes in Young's principles of building through the draft and also re-signing your key veterans. But I think you can look for the Giants to be much more active in the free agency market. Of course, he believes you have to use every method available to build your team. And, you know, if the cap situation allows, I think you'll see the Giants signing some free agents. One other thing that the Young situation doesn't affect, however, is that Young has always voted against instant replay. The Giants will still vote against instant replay because co-owner Wellington Mara is against it. In addition, Accorsi is also against it.
Gary, you and I were both at Arrowhead Stadium for that Chiefs-Broncos game on Sunday, and the Chiefs are hopping mad about a play that changed the complexion of that football game. Pete Stoyanovich kicked the field goal, but there was a holding penalty call. But when the Chiefs took a look at the tape of that game, they said, hey, there is no holding on this play. What have your sources told you about that play?
Well, Lenny, I spoke to somebody independent of the Chiefs, but also very close to the situation, and they totally agreed with Marty Schottenheimer. That was not a holding call. The flag never should have been thrown, and the field goal should have counted. Of course, at this point, it's too late to change the situation, and the Chiefs just have to look forward to next year.
All right, Gary, we'll look forward to next week to seeing and talking with you.
Okay, Lenny.
Well, I guess they're not going to change that call against the Stoyanovich field goal. So the Chiefs
let it go, Lenny. Let it go.
Just think of it this way, though. Look at all the free time you have.
You got a good point there. Let's recap our picks. First, in the AFC Championship game, Chris and I like Denver. Nick and Jerry go for the home team Steelers. And in the NFC Championship game, Nick, Chris, and Jerry are taking the defending Super Bowl champion Packers. But I like Steve Young to paint a masterpiece. A masterpiece last week by Chris Collins. He was a perfect 4-0.
I'm sick of that.
Hey, but hey, don't forget, I'm the only guy undefeated on all Saturday games.
And you'll continue because there are no longer any Saturday games. For the playoffs, Chris is enjoying a little bit of a lead.
And Jerry's where he usually is last.
You know, those things are important, but the great news, Nick, this week occurred when Reggie Brown, the linebacker who had a spinal cord injury, about a month ago in that Jets game, held a news conference.
You know, Lenny, I wish I was at that press conference because they wheel Reggie Brown into the press conference. He's in a wheelchair, and all of a sudden he gets out of the wheelchair and walks to the podium to a standing ovation. I'll tell you, my heart skipped a beat.
And Mark Bonacani is next. We look forward to that day.
I hope so.
We pray for that. Well, folks, that's our show for this week. Remember, Inside the NFL premieres each Thursday evening at 11 p.m. If you miss any part of it, you can catch it again Fridays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 11 a.m. So for Nick, Chris, and Jerry, I'm Len Dawson saying thanks for watching the show The Pros Watch, Inside the NFL. Join us Monday, January the 12th at 10 p.m. for the next edition of Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Among the stories, a look back at Dwayne Thomas, the silent star of the Super Bowl winning Dallas Cowboys of 1972. Also, an investigative report on the problem of fraudulent autographs in the world of sports memorabilia.
Yeah, he said, hey, I've been through that so much. He said, hey, we're not going to, all we do is get this crowd riled up if we start looking back at you. Good luck. Thanks. Good to see you all. Thanks.